Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, you, yeah.
Fat guys on the road. I'm Tex.
I'm Paul.
And like we said, we're fat guys on the road. Week 7, right? Going week 7 just completed and going into week 8. Um, and the storyline of this week for OU is a win against the University of Bye.
We won the bye week. Thank you, Fighting Irish.
Yes, yes.
But
Oh my gosh.
so,
Bye week is much different this year than it was last year, though. It
oh
was
yeah,
quite enjoyable this year. Uh, Last year it
it was
was
great.
much
Yeah,
needed.
much needed. Completely different team. And I don't know if you watch those podcasts on it's called Sellout Crowd, but Bob Stoops does one
Mhm.
once or twice a week,
Yeah.
and he had Venables on, and they were talking about. And he said this reminds him. He's even feeling it. How this season reminds him of 2000, like 99, 2000, and then last year and this year. Okay. So, yeah, he was talking with Venables on his podcast, and he said it even reminds him starting to, it's starting to feel like 99 and 2000. And then, like last year with Venables' first year and having to rebuild things, and the way this year's going is like 2000. And I was like, Bob, don't, don't toy with my emotions like that
No.
because that was, well,
The only
if that
difference
happens,
the only difference between that year and this year is going to be the schedule. So,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, we don't have Red October
no.
like we did in 2000. And they talked about that. But if we reach it that far, we're going to have to get tickets because we were there that year when we won the whole thing.
Where's the Natty
We got
this
to
year?
find a way.
Where is it this year?
Houston,
Oh, that's right. Duh.
we drove to Miami.
We were both poor college students, not poor adults. It's easier when you're a poor college student.
Oh, it wasn't just the two of us. There was like what, 12 of us.
Yeah, in a 11 in a
Still
50.
one of the greatest trips ever.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we'll talk more
yeah.
about that in week.
11 people and our luggage in that van.
Gosh, driving across halfway across America. So it was a
That
great
was
trip.
an epic trip.
Uh, Going all the way from the middle of Oklahoma to the tip of Florida. So it was pretty epic. But we'll talk about that trip.
Driving out of an ice storm and it followed us all the way down there.
Yeah,
Not all the way, but it did freeze in northern Florida.
it did. It did.
They were showing the orange groves all frozen over.
Well, we
Yeah,
have to
we
do
were
a
way down
special.
south and it was like 65 degrees and they were all walking around with their coats and we're like, this feels amazing.
Yeah, we might have to um, do a special edition someday and talk about that one and bring in some of the people that went on the trip and um,
That would be awesome.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
So, anyways, and if those what we're talking about is the 2000 Orange Bowl against Florida State when OU won its unfortunately last national championship. But
Number 7.
number 7, uh, and Paul and I got to be there in the top corner of Jack Robbie Stadium. Although then it was no
It's
longer
Joe Robbie Stadium, yeah.
Joe Robbie, but
It's
it was
Pro Player, they called it. Wasn't that Pro Player Stadium?
at Pro Player.
That's what they called it.
Now it's
It
hard.
looks completely different now. It's like that's not even the same place because of that weird roof thing they put on it.
I call it the English soccer roof. Um,
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
that's what it is. The Rangers talked about it.
Yeah.
Talked about it in
Yeah.
their one they just had before this. They looked at doing something like that, uh, and then they realized, wait, that doesn't help our pitchers, and that's why it sucks. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but this past weekend there were some real fun games, and of course the nightcap was the Notre Dame USC game. And I think a lot of OU fans, if you talk to them honestly, and I think I've pretty much said this since day 5 after Riley left, it took me a little while to get there we might be better off.
Oh, I knew it immediately because,
So,
like I told you before, as soon as I heard he was leaving, the 2 words popped into my head: Brent Venables, and I was like, "Now we're cooking. If
yeah,
we can get him, and I thought we could, now we're cooking."
yeah. It took me a few days to get there Um, I thought Alex Grinch was going to be a good defensive coordinator, and I think he still can be. I just don't think he can be under Lincoln Riley. So it's
Yeah, I'm just so thankful for Venable's football knowledge, and he's the GOAT on defense as far as I'm concerned.
yep,
And a lot of the credit for that goes to Bob,
yep.
you know. But in being with the coaches he's been with Snyder and with
So
Stoops and with Sweeney, he knows what championship football looks like,
yeah,
you know. And there's a certain way you have to go about doing things, and he knows how to do it, you know. And that's a complementary football, you know, and everybody, you know, supporting each other, and it's not just, you know, focusing on my side of the ball.
no,
And so and you know, finding a way to win, dig down deep and tough it out, find a way.
yep. Well, that's
So
what we're all
kind of like
talking
we
about,
did against Texas.
talking about the culture.
Yeah.
It's just it's different. Um, there's mental toughness. There's um, complementary football being played, and I think that was our problem under our previous regime. Is no matter who we had our defensive coordinator, Brent Venables could have been our defensive coordinator, and it would not have been complementary football. That the head coach then would have said, "Well, our job's to score points," and
I don't think he knows how to do it, is the thing. He knows how to run his system, and he doesn't know how to deviate, you know, in a way that would help the defense out. So, like I said, with Venables learning from these great Hall of Fame coaches, you know, how to play championship deep football. That's all the way around, and part of that is adapt and overcome. You know, kind of like the Marine Corps, find a way, and you don't just stick to your guns. Well, if it's not working, you find a way, and he does.
so
So,
it's
yeah, I
interesting.
was he reminds me a lot of Patty Gasso. They talk a lot. A lot of the things they say are the same about how they develop players on and off the field, you know, and that mental toughness and that, you know, teach them how to be a champion, not only on the field, but in life, you know. And she's always talking about how she brings in girls and turns them into women,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that are capable of anything. And you look at what he's doing with the Soul Mission, it's the same thing.
Yep.
It's like they're exactly the same kind of people.
Yep.
And it's awesome. I could not be more proud to have these coaches on at OU. It's awesome. It's amazing.
Across the board, and not every coach is winning, but across the board, the coaches at OU are all about character and class and citizenship. Is what I
Yeah.
call what the higher
So
education.
I'm really hoping our men's basketball season goes a lot better because I'm really pulling for Porter because he's a great guy too. It's the same way. I ran into some people on the cruise that we took to Alaska. I was wearing my OU stuff because, of course, I was. And these people stopped me on the elevator and said they were from Chicago. They said that we have a really good man for our head coach. And they said he's a good coach, but he's a better man. They said they went to church with him and they said he's as good as gold. He's an outstanding human being. So I said I thought he was, but thank you for verifying that, you know.
I think he's got to get his
So I
players.
really hope they have, yeah.
I think that's the problem, and I don't want to say
I,
his players. I don't think. I think that's where he's struggling is getting the recruits in that we need to compete in the Big 12. Um, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, if we end up with an overall losing record this year, it's probably his last year, I would think.
that's I really really hope that they can have a somewhat successful enough to keep him, you know, because
And
that would just be a shame.
let me be clear on something. I made a comment a couple. That's not me calling for his. Um,
Right.
that's not
Yeah.
me
It
saying
didn't sound like it.
no, but it's just saying. I know the OU fan base, and I know Joe Castiglione, and I don't know if he's on the hot seat or not, but I don't. I also don't think we'll
It's
have an overall losing season. I mean, it could be one of those
yeah.
that go 18-14. So
Yeah. They were talking on the radio the other day. If we're the what is there? There's 14 of us now.
yep.
They said if we're the 11th best team in the Big 12, that makes us a 7 seed in the tournament because of how strong the Big 12 is. And they were like, "You say that jokingly, you might be right."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. Just depends on how the year plays out, and we'll talk about college basketball here in a little bit as well, because it's here. Um, but speaking of college basketball, Paul, I'm going to segue. You talked about Patty Gasso, and this is something you and I've talked about. University of Iowa hosted a women's basketball exhibition this weekend at their football stadium with 55,000 fans. And we've talked about University of Nebraska's volleyball game selling out Nebraska Memorial Stadium. When are we playing softball at Owen Field?
I have a plan. I'm going to make a video.
Okay.
I got to get all the numbers and get all the visuals right, but I've got a plan. And I finally saw, I hadn't heard anybody else say this. And I was reading the comments on a post on this on Facebook, and some other guy had the same idea. And I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm not
Do you
going to give
want me
away the
to
plan
say it?
here.
'Cause I think I know what you're talking about. Do you want me to say it, or do you want to?
No, we'll save it until we make that video.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it can be done.
Yeah.
And so we just need to get everybody on board.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can drum up a lot of support for this idea
And
and make it happen.
It is the fall battle series is going on right now in Norman during the month of October. So timely time to start thinking about it. And maybe the way we do it's an exhibition game. The one comment I'll make about it is everyone keeps saying it won't fit. Paul has an idea of how it fits, and I think I know his way of how it'll fit, based on my other favorite. Anyways,
I think you're right. I think we're on the same page.
And that doesn't have to be a regular season game. It can be an exhibition. Hell,
Yeah,
OU USA. It was just announced
that would be amazing.
That in 2028, baseball and softball are coming back to the World Series. So 2025 and the prep for it. And
You mean the Olympics?
Olympics, yes. Sorry, did I say World Cup?
Yeah. You said World Series.
World Series. I meant, sorry. As everyone knows, I'm on a different path right now. I'm in the present. Look how gorgeous that stadium is lit up like that, though.
That is beautiful.
If for those that don't know, this is Tuesday night. My Rangers are up 2-0 in the series against the Houston Asterix.
You said it right.
I do. I know all my Houston friends are stoning me right now for that, but and I grew up an Astros fan, and I just say it to give them a hard time. It's 2023. That was 6 years ago. Whatever. Interesting stat. Let me throw this out there that my buddy Wayne, who we've talked about, and you've met, Paul, big Astros fan, told me this a couple years ago, and I looked it up.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I know. He had a real quite interesting stat that I verified. In 2017, Houston had a better road record than they did home record. And the cheating they were accused of doing could not happen on the road. Like,
that is interesting.
So, that's why I joke about it more than being serious. I mean, I respect Dusty Baker, and what he's doing now with that team, and respect those players, because most of the players that were there in 2017, and that's what's amazing. This isn't the 90s to early 2000s Yankees that were the same roster. This is almost a completely different roster. So, but
that's a sign of great coaching.
Yeah, they're down 0-2.
Yeah.
And
I saw that one home run yesterday. I don't follow it like you do, but I was like, dude, he put that one in orbit.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yep. I have not heard
So,
if they're opening the roof in Arlington or not. They should be. I mean, I'm sorry, unless it's pouring down rain in October, the roofs need to be open. This is baseball. That's how I feel about it.
I agree.
I was living in Houston in 2005 when they hosted the White Sox in the World Series and got swept. And Houston made the decision, I think after the first inning, to shut the roof. And that's where MLB came back and said, no, how you start the game is how you finish the game.
Yeah,
And so
that's crazy.
I can't remember if it was first inning, but it was after the first pitch. They started closing the roof, and it changes the way the air plays. I mean,
Oh yeah,
so anyways, I agree. Going back to Brent Venables and Patty Gasso, you're absolutely right about a culture that just spews excellence and champions. And like you said, not just on the field. As someone who works in higher ed, the off the field stuff's important, more important.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you look at Jason White, who won a freaking Heisman Trophy, and if it wasn't for a guy like Bob Stoops, he'd be running one of Oklahoma's largest HVAC companies currently? And people are probably like, "Oh, Heisman winner running an HVAC. Look how much money he's making. How much are you making?" Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be dumb.
Well, part of that also is winning a Heisman at Oklahoma. You know,
Mhm.
that in itself gives you certain advantages in life. But yeah, I see your point. It's not just him or Heisman winners. It's 90% of those guys.
Yeah.
It's probably more like 95 now, or will be 99,
Mhm.
because of the soul mission. That they go on and they are very successful in whatever they do.
Yep. Yep. Well, and,
Genuinely good people.
yeah. And we have great alumni that are surrounding the program right now. I mean, every video podcast clip I watched talking about OU Texas was just people talking about, yeah, I ran into blah, blah, blah on the sideline during the game.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's awesome. I mean, it's a great feeling. It's a culture. I mean, I watched one with Danny Stutzman, and he was talking about the Boz being down there with them. And I mean, to me, Stutz is the next coming of the Boz.
He's like a mix between the Boss and Dan Cody.
You're right. You're right. You're
Kind
right.
of nuts.
Now, and if you don't know who we're talking about, Stutz, Danny Stutzman, who is just an absolute animal on the field the past 2 years.
Especially this year, because last year he was kind of, super confused a lot of the time, but now he's got it.
Yeah.
And he's running things. He's making sure everybody else is in place. Yeah, he's
12 in tackles last
killing it. What?
Didn't he lead the Big 12 in tackles last year?
Well, yeah, but there's
I know
a lot more to it than that. He had to, because our defensive line was not as great, and other people weren't making the play because they were confused. He was running guys down 30 yards later. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's true. But that also shows his greatness. That as as your linebacker running down, or Cheetah, wherever
he can scoot
downfield and making those tackles. So it's definitely I mean, we could talk about OU defense for years to come.
Forever, yeah.
Of course, OU's got a interesting matchup this weekend. I read yesterday that Plumlee is back in the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
So that should make the game.
And Venables said today, he said, we know firsthand what a difference having your quarterback in there makes us as to having your starting quarterback hurt. And I said, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that really.
No. And that was
and he can run. That guy's fast.
Yes.
Plumlee.
Yes. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he does. And of course, that's not the only problem. Much like us last year, that's not USCF's only problem. I mean, I know Dylan Gabriel's a great quarterback, but he's not scoring 50 points last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's true. we all talk about how much better the defense is, but the offense has improved immensely also.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
agree.
we've said it before, but those wide receivers, Emmett Jones, holy cow! If there's somebody better at his job out there, I don't know who it would be. That guy's amazing. The difference in the team and the receivers is just it's a night and day.
Be interesting to see how much longer he's here.
So pay the man. Pay the man.
Part of me
We
is
got we got the money in the bank. Write the check.
I know. Part of me is praying Dana Holgerson makes a phone call.
No. They can't compete with OU's money. Sorry.
We need an offensive coordinator now.
No. He pay him more to be the receivers coach here.
I know. I'm kidding. Sort of.
Sort of.
Well, so come down to Houston for 2 or 3 years, be our offensive coordinator, and then when Jeff Lebby gets a head coaching job in 2 or 3 years, Emmett Jones can come to OU to be the coordinator. So,
as long as he finds a replacement for his position coach it
doesn't take any of the players
that he approves of.
Yeah. So I know. I have thought about that in the back of my mind as someone who could make an excellent offensive coordinator. Wherever Emmett Jones is next year, he's going to do a great job. I mean, no matter what, I think he's still at OU. I think you're right. I mean, it's too much of a young challenge for him. And like you said, Houston's not going to throw money at offensive coordinator like OU will throw at him to be the wide receiver coach or passing game coordinator or whatever they want to give him a title. Yeah. So of course that's Lebby's MO too, but I don't know. But with that four-headed monster if you throw DeMarco Murray in there, but if Lebby, Beatembo, and Emmett Jones, I mean that just clicking. So
I think we may have the best coaching staff in the country right now. I mean, these guys are just every position.
Everyone's bought in, is what it is. Everyone's bought into Venables.
Big time.
So I've talked about this in week past, and I'm
kind of like Patty and her staff and her program. Again, the similarities I'm seeing.
I'm going to keep hammering this home week in and week out. Jeff Lebby's calling a little more conservative games because the defense wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to play it every 5 minutes.
Right.
So
every other, 2 plays and a score and you're back out there and you haven't caught your breath yet.
Are there drives where we can go absolutely balls to the wall? Absolutely. And we do. But then are there drives where we're going to say, we're going to mix this up left and right? And, it's not even just running the ball.
Lean on your defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So and it's not about necessarily just running the ball, which will help, but it's also about, the little slants, the little mesh run passes or screens or rounds, things that you can do to mix things up and RPO stuff that you do to
just enough to keep the chains moving.
Yep. And then some drives will come out and we'll just throw verticals 5 plays in a row to go 85 yards for 6 points. So, but
yeah. You get up 21 points on them and then you start burning clock and leaning on their defense.
Yeah.
And you keep your defense fresh and you wear theirs out.
So, but the Central Florida matchup,
like that last drive, as awesome as it was against Texas, if you remember, those Texas guys were exhausted. That's why it looked so easy, because they were spent.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to our strength and conditioning, and also just what we're talking about is you lean on their defense and wear them out with the way you run the offense, because Texas, if you look at all their games, as the game goes on, they get stronger, which is a testament to their strength and conditioning. But that game, they were spent, they were wore out.
So I want to.
That's a good game plan and good coaching.
I want to highlight somebody. You mentioned strength and conditioning. Who's the coach now?
Jerry Schmidt.
Jerry Schmidt.
They're Schmitty Bill.
To me, that was the worst decision, second worst decision that Lincoln Riley made while he was here.
He didn't. Schmidt left. He quit.
Well, because of Riley.
When Riley got the job, he quit.
Yeah. So
read into that what you will.
Yeah. And now he's back. And
I'm just glad he's back.
We talk a lot about our coordinators and our players and our head coach, but Stoops will be the first one to tell you Jerry Schmidt won us most of our games.
Yeah.
Especially back in that era of Big 12 football.
Yeah.
That was tough nose. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are tough as nails.
So,
and it's the training and the mentality, and that goes into it, the way he goes about things, like the what they've been saying about, they usually do the medicine ball crunches 25 times, and for a whole year they were doing 49.
Yeah.
Well, and now you see the result. And that's training, that's a mental thing as much as it is a physical. So when I say we have the best coaching staff, that includes him and his staff.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's if there's anything that I learned from the Lincoln Riley era, it's that. It's great as the offensive coach as he is, and great of offensive players that we had, and the best O-line coach any team could find. How do you let Georgia come back on you?
That boiled down to a mental toughness.
Mm-hmm.
And credit to the players we had on the team that it was as close as it was, and that's just individuals,
And I'm taking nothing away. I think Lincoln Riley's a very good coach. I just don't like his person who he is as a person, and I don't agree with the way
there's some philosophical, inside the game things that are just never going to win a championship.
He's an absolutely incredible offensive mind, but has no care in the world for defense. And you
can't do that.
And when you're a head coach
or special teams, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I saw in Colorado Springs, special teams are important.
Yep. I can't tell you how many run backs Houston's had to call back this year on kickoff returns or punt returns because of holding.
That is so aggravating. That's infuriating.
You're talking about a game-changing play that awakens everyone else around you. And they get to that end zone.
And you're dominating. Oh, gosh.
And then
you're going to push my buttons.
And you look 60 yards back, and everyone else is stuck there when you're in the end zone. Dudes, you had one job. I did mine. I'm here. Why aren't we all here? Because
when there's a holding that was 40 yards away from where the guy with the ball was.
Always.
You could just let the guy run back past you. It's not going to make any difference.
No. But
anyway, geez. Give up a 60-yard fake punt. They were dominating Air Force. Dominating. It was 4th and 8. I was like, this game's about to be over. And he runs the stupid ball down to the 1-yard line. The next play they score. And I'm like, son of them. 2 missed field goals, a blocked extra point, and that stupid fake punt.
Mm-hmm.
The score should have been Wyoming 34, Air Force 27, but special teams are important.
They are.
And somebody did their job and somebody didn't.
3 phases of the game. I mean, we talked about it in the OU game against Texas. We left 10 points on the field.
Yeah, and gave them 7.
Well, that's
Okay, yeah.
or not left
So
7.
10-point difference. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
not
yeah,
left.
yeah. Because we should have had 3 more, and they should have had 7 less.
Yeah,
Plus, we gave up a fake punt too
yep.
to them, which
Luckily, we forced a turnover on that drive twice. Only once counted. Yeah. Still bitter
I
about.
think his knee was down though.
You think it was?
It was too close to overturn. I think it was too close to give us that one. Honestly,
That's my problem. Is they called it a
but
turnover.
that's okay because yeah, but that's okay.
Was
really
it
knocked the crap out of that guy, and the ball popped straight up. And yeah, but he was bobbling it. There's no doubt, but it was really close.
It was, but I personally, they called it a turnover. There was not clear and indisputable evidence that the call was made wrong.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, I mean, that's how I saw it. I'm not saying it was a fumble or not. What I'm saying is the call on the field. It's the rules. The calls on the field, fumble.
That's true.
Was there clear and indisputable evidence that that's not what happened? No. So, I don't know. I mean, even the guys on ESPN were saying, or ABC, were like, that's a fumble. There's not. So, anyways, got 4 minutes left. Do you want to, anything else you want to talk OU, or do you want to segment?
I guess we can talk about homecoming a little bit since the UCF game is homecoming. So because it's another stupid 11 o'clock kickoff, they're doing
Brewster
a glow in the dark night parade the night before. And I was like, well, that's we've never done that. That's kind of unique. I'd like to film that, but my old phone doesn't do nighttime so well, so I guess it won't. But anyway, the homecoming thing brought up a lot of memories of back in the day back when we met, working on the float and working on all that homecoming stuff, and how we were involved with. You weren't yet. That's when you got involved with the Wesley Foundation at OU, and we had a dynasty going with homecoming. We just didn't lose. We were unbeatable, and as Bud Wilkinson would say, those were the best of times. It was so much fun.
Yep. So we
used your truck one year to haul the float, and we used my truck one year to haul the float. And I think Eddie James used his parents' pickup one year.
Yeah.
But anyway, so much fun.
It
wasn't just the float; it was everything: the banner, the sidewalk chalk, the window painting, the skit, the dance, everybody involved, all the girls, all the guys.
So that 2001, the 99 when we met was the RMS
A&M Titanic.
A&M Titanic. So the theme that year was something about Hollywood, Hollywood movies or something.
Take me to the movies.
Take me
to the movies.
And so this was 99, fall of 99. So OU Wesley chose to be the movie Titanic, and we built a sinking ship. Mind you, this is 99. We had come off 3 straight losing seasons. Prior to that, a tie season, 5-5-1, right? So
95, yeah. The 90s were not nice to us.
So, but we had who they were nice to was Texas A&M, and they came into that game ranked number 5. It was a cold, blustery night. A bunch of my family came up for the game because they're a bunch of Aggies, and I was a freshman at OU, so they came up and they're maroon, and they set up on the west deck, like third to the top row. And my
wind chill
still to this day, she's 86 years old, talks about getting up there, and 2, how freaking cold it was, and then 3, what was the score?
51-6.
51-6. OU. A&M was the sinking Titanic that day. And for really, that was historically maybe their downturn, the start of their downturn. Because I
Yeah.
mean, they had good teams for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, good, but not like they had in the '90s. And that was really the game
And
that.
that's about the point we started feeling like, hey, we might have something here.
Yeah.
This guy might be the guy.